The coronavirus pandemic has turned everyone and their moms into golfers, including very unathletic people like me. But as the philosopher that I am, here are 10 life lessons I learned from playing golf. And ironically, life lessons I learned on top of the golf that I probably should have learned in the past year and a half. I have dedicated myself to golf, even though it seems like there's not much progress in my golf skills. And I still put my iron covers on my irons that all of you guys love to criticize. Number one, effort can get you pretty far in life, but I don't think anything beats talent plus effort. This can sound like a pretty sad statement and a harsh reality, but I also think it frees you and liberates you from the mentality that you need to become the best at something. Reality is, you won't become the best at whatever you're doing. There's always gonna be someone better than you, and it's really hard for someone to align themselves in something that they like, something that they're good at, and something that they want to put in effort. No matter how much I play golf, no matter how much I practice golf, there's gonna be the Tiger Woodses of the world who probably have the natural talent, plus the effort, plus the grind, plus the grit, plus the time, and it happens to be their career. But that's okay, because I'm not trying to be the best golfer, and I know for a fact I'm not gonna be the best golfer, and that's just reality. Along the same lines, number two, there's always gonna be a 5-year-old kid or someone younger that's better than you at whatever you do. And this is shameful sometimes when you're trying to hit 200 yards with the driver or more, and you see a kid next to you who's 5 years old, and he's just whipping it, hitting 250, 300. I don't know if there's a 5-year-old kid out there that can actually hit 300 yards with the driver. But point being, there's gonna be someone younger than you that's better than you, and as society progresses, as skills training and scientific ways to make people better get even more enhanced, it seems like people get better at things younger and younger. And that's also okay. I'm realizing that these aren't just life lessons, but perhaps kicks of reality, but that's life. Number three, equipment doesn't matter until it does. I kind of sound like those hypo cinematography, Casey Neistat guys when they say equipment doesn't matter. Equipment doesn't matter until it does, in the sense that in golf, you should start with relatively crappy irons, relatively crappy drivers. If you're in it for the long run, golf clubs last a long time, so you might as well buy some expensive clubs. But I think until you get your swing down, whether you get a $10 club used somewhere versus a $200 club, it matters in terms of maybe the wrapping on the handle part ripping easily, but in terms of it contributing to how well you play, I think most of that comes down to your swing and your ability to play golf. It does start mattering if you go out to the field a lot, and your shoes and your glove quality. Little things might start mattering more as you focus on the little details. But first and foremost, let's get the basics down. Let's get the swing down. If you're a YouTuber, let's get some subs and your niche content down first. I should probably be speaking to myself, who started as a baking content, and now I'm talking about golf lessons. Equipment does not matter until it does. Number four, things in life are expensive for a reason. I really experienced this recently. I went to a pretty cheap golf course the other day. It was less than 20 bucks per person, and we ended up having to pair up with 2 other people, walking the whole way, people behind us and after us really tight. People weren't very good, barely played 10 holes when we signed up for 18. Many things, most things in life are priced appropriately, are priced for a reason. There are reasons why expensive golf courses exist. There are reasons why some meals cost more than others, some flight experiences cost more than others. This is in no way to say you should always go for more expensive things. You should always do the thing that makes the most sense for you. But the finer things in life are more expensive for a reason. And number five, throw yourself into games. What I mean by this is I see a lot of people at the golf range going at it every single day. They're ranging away, they're hitting very well, but they never go play games. And after ranging for months, they go to one game and they suck at the game and they wonder, I played so well at the range, why am I so bad at the game? Golf is a very prime example of just practice does not necessarily make perfect. You have to be on the field and actually experience the game to understand the different dynamics of the game, different mannerisms that you have to learn, how each turf, each field quality is different, and how each green plays differently to every putt. I think this directly translates into life. A lot of us practice all the time. We do our practice LBOs. We code in practice all the time. We study foreign languages by ourselves all the time. But unless you interview, unless you make projects, unless you talk to someone that actually speaks that foreign language, I don't think you actually get the feel of implementing the skills that you're building and actually exhibiting those skills in real life. It's far different from just doing it isolated on your own, self-affirming, self-approving. And the improvements that you feel, the improvements that you get from actually doing it in the game is far greater than just doing it in practice alone. Number six, and this is my only softy comment of the day, so excuses in advance, but spend time with your family, maximize time with your family. I think one thing that golf allowed me to do is spend a lot of time with my dad. We don't really have a lot of hobbies in common, but golf became that one hobby that we could do. Obviously, most of the time is spent actually golfing, but as you're walking, as you're in the cart, a lot of conversation happened. My mom's getting into golfing now. Hopefully my brother does eventually. I think Corona as a whole has reminded me that at the end of the day, family is what lasts, whatever family means to you. And I think it's important to constantly consider what are ways I can maximize my time with family. Number 7, don't be afraid to completely switch things up. When you're practicing golf, a lot of times you get stuck on a swing and you realize the swing sucks and you might have to start over again from the basics and change it up. I think in life, a lot of times we're so used to doing things a certain way, we get scared that if we do it a different way, the positive impacts of the way that you've always done it will go away. I've had this with my career, I've had this with my YouTube channel, I still have this with a lot of things in my life where I've done it a certain way, I know that this way kinda works. I know in the back of my mind that if I keep going this way, I'm not gonna maximize my potential, but I'm scared to move on to a different way just because I know that this way is certain. I think you're only limiting yourself when you do that, especially when that inkling, when that tingling tickle in the back of your head is telling you there's probably a better way to do it. And even if you switch over to that better way and that fails and you have to ultimately return to your default slightly okay way, at least you know that new way you tried doesn't work and you knocked it off the list. I think, especially when you're young, hopefully I'm still young, it's okay to switch things up completely and take some risks. Number 8, strangers can be cool. I feel like I might get in trouble for this statement, but a lot of times, especially now because everyone's golfing, you get paired up with other people if you don't have a foursome. I typically go with my dad, so it's 2 of us, and then new 2 people join. I typically get this anxiety, frustration over this just because I want my time with my dad. I'm not very good at golf, so I don't want people watching me and not thinking that I'm very good because that's true. I've never had a bad experience with a pair of other people joining us. If anything, I've been with a wide variety of individuals who have all been very nice, very special people that I wouldn't have met otherwise. I think especially in our society right now with COVID, where people are pretty isolated, we haven't mingled with new people in a while. People might feel reluctant to give their time to strangers, give them a chance. But a lot of times, people you meet for the first time, strangers, are the coolest people ever. And golf is a great way to experiment that because there is literally a cap on how long you have to deal with them. Number 9, don't look at the result until you study the process. I mean this literally with golf, where a lot of people lift their head before they finish their swing and they look at the ball because they're anticipating that far shot. But because of that, and you lift the head, you often top the ball. I think in this fast-paced society where everyone is looking at the result, we will have instant access to getting results right away for everything. We get so caught up in the weeds of wanting that final number, that final acceptance, that we often forget most, if not all people who have gotten far, who we only see the results of, have been very detail-oriented, have been lost in the weeds of the process. It's important to study the process that will get you the result as opposed to being obsessed with the result, so you forget about the process that ends up in that result. And number 10, and this is something that I'm really focusing on, something that COVID has made me hyper-focused on, but I think this recent growth spurt that I had in my mentality has really been allowing myself to do is to know yourself. In golf, it's really important to know how well you swing, how far you swing with each club, specifically catered to you. It doesn't matter if Tiger Woods is hitting, that you hit 55 with a 7-iron. I hit slightly more than 55 with 7-iron, but as an example, if you can consistently get 55 with a 7-iron, consistently get 65 with a 6-iron, but it's straight every single time, you honestly might become the best golfer in the world. It's far more important to know what you're good at, what your strengths are, where you're consistent at, and apply that to the real world, apply that to your trials and tribulations, rather than being absorbed and trying to project yourself onto someone else who's already successful, who you consider successful, and try to mold yourself into that. You gotta figure out yourself, you gotta know yourself, know what you're good at, know if your thing is speaking into a camera, know if your thing is playing professional golf. I may be preaching to the choir, but I'm really trying to focus on figuring out what I'm good at, trying to maximize that potential and use that to my advantage. Whether you are out there swinging and missing, or you are the next Tiger, I hope you enjoyed this video on my thoughts on golf life lessons. And as always, I will see you guys in the next video. Let's go!